We are live. Yes, we are live. And I am back with Brian. Well, he'll be right back with me. Today we're going to talk about ways to extend grace. So we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back, Brian. How are you?
Haven't heard that track in a little bit, and the music just kind of, you want to have a little drink and sing along.
I know it's jazzy, isn't it? I kind of like it, even though it was like the last minute little crackle thing I could do. I try to just work on my expertise. Eventually, soon, I'm just going to hire people to do stuff. But,
Absolutely.
I got my fingers wet and get in there and do the stuff. So I can appreciate the people that do it.
This time of year, throughout Montana, Wisconsin, and whatnot, those fires definitely come in handy, or they will as we get colder.
Well, I'm glad you actually picked up this topic. We actually found you found the website, and ways to extend grace. This is a great place for us to just pick up where we left off. The way I work in life is that I may get upset about things. Then I vent them out, and then I let them go. And like my first network show is Live, Love, and Let Go Out Loud. And you do in life have to get over yourself, get over shit, and just move on. And for you to pick this topic is a great thing, because I really believe that you should just go on, move forward. You can't stay in life, be stagnant. Hi, Michael. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you so much.
Hey, Michael.
But it's really important to know that if and when we hold things and we don't find grace in things, it really hinders us as individuals, because we don't know what's going on in another person's life.
Yep.
So if we can just go ahead and always know that we have a second chance to do things, even not with that person, but with somebody else that we experience in our life, because life is so fast and we never have time. So talking this topic today about finding grace and going forward, I think is great. And I went ahead and did this little thing so that it would be in front of us, and damn, I'm good.
It fits.
Showing grace to others about others is about showing kindness even when they don't deserve it. God has shown you such grace to us. We should in turn show grace to others. And I've showed and told my kids this all the time. And then, what I love is sometimes, Brian, I get like a little kid and I'm like, Mom, but you know what you said? And I love it because I've instilled it in them. Because like I said, it's like taking showers, like everything else. You got to rinse and repeat, and you got to do this daily. Even if you're ingrained and you're used to doing it, it's always hard to do, but it's the best thing to do. It's always the best thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I work on every day, and I have a friend, a buddy in Texas that reminds me, he goes, no matter what you do, nobody's ever going to think the way that you think.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of spurred me on this journey, but also though it's, everybody's doing the best they can with what they got and where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
And, just to give them that space. Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it comes to a time, though, you can give so much space and grace, and then you got to move on, because you got to realize that some things are not going to change, and then you got to move on. And that's where I have faltered in the past. I've given and given and given so much that I've even forgotten myself. And now I'm at the space where I don't give anymore. I say, you know what? I accept you where you're at, but I don't have to stay in this space anymore. So, that, and I was just in a Tony Robbins group, which I will say to you that there's many people that you and I know that are in this group. And there was a question in there that said, how long do you stay in a relationship you're not happy?
Woo.
Holy shit, Batman. I saw the highest was 30 years to the average of 2 years in a relationship.
That's unbelievable.
And it goes to show you that you have to take a stance, and you can only take so much. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, Brian, so I don't lose my sanity here, is after I show the little thing, I'm going to delete it so that it's a no-brainer for me. So we're done with that slide, and it's going delete. So I'm making this like no rocket scientist. So
Yeah,
don't ask me to go back to a slide is what I'm telling you, because we
it's
can't
all
go
good.
back.
We'll talk about them and then you delete
Okay.
them so there's no confusion.
So if you want to read these, go for it.
Sure. Number one, words. Be kind and gentle in what you say and how you say it. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger.
Yeah.
These words right here, uh, especially with the world that we live in, where more of it is via the keyboard and less of it about the tonality of a video message. And then we're also dealing with everybody's mental state at that moment in time, right?
Yeah.
Not only from the giver, not only from the giver of the message, but also the receiver, and the way that both of those worlds kind of go together. Um, it's kind of like if there's something you really want to say because you're at an elevated state, don't send it. Don't press send. Um, Give it a day, right? Allow yourself to calm down. Whatever you're dealing with in life will pass, or your heart rate will go down, and then you find out it's like, I'm glad I waited on that.
Yeah. Or for me, I wait and I wait, and then by the time I finally tell you,
Yep.
I don't feel bad telling you, because I'm like, I gotta tell you something, and I've waited a long time, and then you know, you could see that you can go back and say, well, I waited a long time.
Yeah.
Now you got to sit in it and say, I was pretty patient and I waited for things to change and they didn't change. And you can go back and see what I said, and I don't feel bad about it. I do feel bad that I always wait, but I
Right.
don't feel bad that I finally say, "Look, I gotta say this because it ain't I gotta talk about the elephant in the room."
Mhm.
And so I do always regret that I wait too long, because I realize, like with the dog, you can't discipline a dog for doing something naughty later, because he doesn't realize he did something naughty later.
Right.
But you're mad, you don't want to beat the dog, or you don't want to do something wrong to the dog because he doesn't remember either. But
Mhm.
next time you see him, you say, well, you've done this a few times, and then you could say, yeah, I did do that a lot. So it's one of those things. So I'm
And
gonna
I
delete.
think I think the second part of that too is how you say it.
Yeah.
It's the more you know somebody, the way it comes across, like how they show up for you is more than
Yeah.
likely how it's going to come across.
Yeah.
But especially, but there's so much missing in that.
Yeah.
It's just like we could say, I don't know, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I
Yeah.
didn't do it. Like when you just by
Or
those
I didn't
words,
mean to do it.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so just by that in itself, it's like how you say it. And
Yeah.
also, though, one of the practices I take on, is, you know, instead of asking something that might be really direct, especially if it's via text or whatever, ask them a question, right?
Yeah.
You know, what is this going to be about? Or have you thought of these things to consider? Right. So it leaves it open. Or have you thought about this?
Well,
It it's not, you're
we'll put
offering direction, but you're
yeah.
not
We'll
putting somebody in a corner.
we'll put it this way. Personally, my advice, don't do it via text, because that shit will
Right.
that will be like ingrained. You can't,
Yeah.
they can screenshot that, keep that. Like, no, 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 no. You do it in person or video chat or something. But yeah, don't, because that can be so misconstrued and taken out of content so easy. So
Yeah.
you can save yourself a lot of grief there and just wait. You could say what the topic is, but do not try to, because you can slowly read something and be stuck on something and not hear the updated version of it. The it's such a mess. You could have a soap opera and a drama just from that. And then by the time you talk, you're like, oh my gosh, but I was so mad about the first text, not the last text.
Well, and you
You
bring
know,
up a good point too, is that okay, how many times can something be convoluted just by the medium, right?
yeah,
That you go back and forth, and
yeah,
then all of a sudden, once you get to the root of where the indifference was, it could have been just by the medium. If it was text, if you go to a video or a phone call, it takes you all this time to go back to, to put a band-aid, or to,
yeah,
be up on the same page as far, in terms of what was the setback,
yeah.
you
We
know?
got quite a few of these. We might have to go to the next week, and I don't want
Sure.
to do
Yeah, yeah.
that. So here we go.
Sure.
Here's this one. Look for the needs and opportunities. Simple. everyday kindness and actions often help in great ways. Yeah, like every day you can probably build on a better connection with the person
Yeah.
and then be able to go back to the original problem.
Yeah.
And I would say that that would be the simple way to handle that for right now. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that in every moment, there's always something that somebody can do.
Yeah.
They can, send a card. They can send some, a quote. They can check in with somebody. They can send them a message, like a video message to brighten their day for 5 days straight.
Yeah.
You
Or
know,
just or just listen to them, you know what I mean? Just
yeah,
don't call with, "Oh, but I gotta talk about this," just
no,
flow with, just be in the moment. I think that's the problem is a lot of times we just don't stay in that moment. We just have our own agendas and that seems to be a problem. And I love this. This is like what I live now is always letting go,
yeah.
respond to others with grace. Sometimes people are going to be rude instead of responding harshly, keep calm in the spirit. A fool shows his annoyance at once, but a prudent man overlooks an insult. And yeah, which is so easy because when you realize somebody's going to be angry and it's something about them mostly and not about you, it makes it so easy to say, "Oh, they're not having a good day right now. And they probably just got a bill. They just probably got a bad news or something." And when you start thinking it's about you, it's your guilt or it's something that you know that you need to fix within yourself.
Well,
It
and I
really
think
is.
too is that one of our mentors, Ken Walls, talks about is like, okay, no matter where I'm at, if I'm in a rut or if I'm having struggle, the best thing I can do is help somebody else out.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, you get yourself off of yourself, for that moment to see how
Yeah.
you can enrich somebody else's life,
Yeah.
to see how you can make a difference for somebody. Because then when you come back to it, you're not going to be able to hold on to what's holding you back at the same time help somebody else out.
Nope. And that's the thing. It's like we drive a car for so long, we forget that we know how to parallel park. Whereas, if you help somebody parallel park and you take time to think of the steps, then you can help somebody else with those steps. So be there. Sometimes your presence is all that you need to show someone that they're loved. Be happy with the person who's happy and be sad with the person who's sad. Rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those cuz they need you to be in that moment.
Yeah.
Cuz every moment passes. Good or bad, moments pass.
Well,
And
what I
so,
read out of that is that just that somebody knows that they matter to somebody.
mhm. Yep.
It's interesting, like, if nobody reaches out to them, the mind goes crazy and they're all of this stuff is made up, but all it takes is one person in
Mhm.
that moment where somebody's sad or upset or whatever to reach out to them,
Yep.
without any agenda. They might not even know what's going on, and they're
Yep.
just there.
Yep.
Makes a huge
Absolutely.
difference.
Wow, we got to really quickly do this.
Okay, so number 5, forgive. When someone asks you to forgive, do so graciously without correction. 4, if you forgive others their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses.
Yeah, and that's the part we do forget.
Yeah.
We always want to be forgiven for what we did, but then we forget that's a revolving door. That's a two-way street.
Hmm.
Everyone forgets things aren't just a one-way street. They are two ways.
Yep.
And that's anything in life. The perspective is not just always your perspective. It's from somebody else's point of view. And it's so easy to do that. That's why I love to tell people stories. And when I'm telling the stories and I go, "Yeah, how does that feel?" And they're like, "What do you mean?" They didn't realize I just told the story from the other angle and I was telling them in a different analogy. And they're like, "Oh." So, it really does help to just do that.
So, number 6, learn to ask for forgiveness. Be quick to apologize when you make a mistake or have wronged someone else. Therefore, if you are presenting your offering at the altar and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your offering there before the altar and go. First, be reconciled to your brother and then come home and present your offering. That's
Yeah.
so powerful right there.
Yeah, because no matter what, we forget that we too are without fault. I mean, we have faults. None of us are flawless.
Mhm.
And knowing that none of us are flawless, how can we stack? It's just like living in a glass house, right? How can you live in a glass house and not expect to be stoned? I mean, like, he who casts stones. So again, it's just a great thing to remember,
I
look in
think
the
it's
mirror.
also about self-awareness too.
Yeah,
Is
for
that you're
sure.
aware of yourself enough to be like, "Hey, that person didn't deserve that," or "I don't know where that came from, but I need to, eat some crow here and humble up."
Yeah.
So
Watch
number
the
s Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So number 7, watch the way you speak. Be careful how you express yourself. Let no wholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word is good for edification according to the need of the moment, so that it will give grace to those who hear. Mm. Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh,
Well,
that's
we
powerful.
we're being raw real with the word of God today, but the thing is that there's nothing better for a foundation of being real with the words that are honestly truth. It keeps harmony in life, and that's just knowing that, you do good, you get good, and you edify and appreciate each other, you're going to get more of that. So gratitude, say thank you often and let people know how much you appreciate them.
Yeah,
And everything give thanks, for this God will for you in Jesus Christ. And I mean, it's totally true. I mean, we forget that to do things, we don't do them just for ourselves, we do it for others, and
mm,
doing it for others, we're doing it for ourselves. But we got to thank everybody, and I mean, I thank everybody that comes and watches our shows. I thank everybody that supports us and appreciates us. I thank you, Brian, for being here. Thank you for
absolutely.
giving me my
Yes.
space that I needed.
Mhm.
um you know and take interest in others, learn about others people and ask them questions, listen and care, do nothing from rivalry or conceit, but in humility counts others more significant than yourself. Absolutely. My biggest thing is I always love to help people that definitely can't help me. And
Mhm.
when I say that, like, I'll be somewheres and I'll just quickly help somebody and I'll be able to leave. And I do that because people have done that for me. And I mean, it's the whole thing of paying it forward, because somebody does something kind for you.
Yep,
You can't always pay back the person that did it for you, but paying it forward.
right.
And that means, helping other people. And they're always, but why? And why not is the question I ask.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, depending on the world that you're in, if this is business or sales or wherever you're
Uh,
applying this to, it's a practice, but it also becomes a lifestyle.
yeah.
You know,
Thank you, Michael.
is that you can fake it for a while, but if it's going to be a part of your being and your lifestyle, that last one right there is something that you exude and immerse yourself in every day. You know,
Absolutely.
when you could strike up a conversation with an absolute stranger, and then somebody comes over to you that you know, and they ask you, "Hey, do you know that person?" It's like, "No, I just met him,"
Yep.
because
Yep.
you're removing yourself that in that moment is about you.
Yep. Well, you guys, we did that super quick. We got through that. But showing grace is basically showing up the best you can, because every day can have its own struggles, but every day can be great because you did the best you could. And at night you can put your head down and say, "Hey, I did the best I could today."
Yep.
And and it's building those bricks, right? Building those bricks so that that, going forward, you're doing better than you did the day before,
Yep.
and building that foundation. So I got a lot of refreshers for the holidays, especially with dealing with people out there shopping and needing grace, because sometimes we get so cluttered with the unnecessary things and we forget the basic things of such. So
Yep.
I'm really grateful that we touched on those things. And anything you want to add to that before we go,
Yeah,
Brian?
I think with the holidays coming up, I mean, we have a couple weeks, but seek to understand, right? Everybody's coming from a different place. Everybody's dealing with something in the world, and so if you seek to understand, just by being a space for somebody to show up, where it's a no-fly zone, it's a safety place, that means a lot to people. Um, you might be the only one that does it, but there's always time to there's always there should always be time where you have in your calendar to reach out to somebody, to talk to them, to help them, and to just be a space for them to show up, you know?
Yeah, and
Um,
the other thing I could add to that is, I've always said this is really important and it's really cool, is that when someone pops in your head, send them a text and say, "Hey, how I just want you to know that I was thinking about you. And hi Scott, thanks for popping
Scott,
in, my
what's
other
up, man?
co-host." And just say, "Hey, I was thinking about you. And I want you to know that I appreciate you." And that's all it takes, because it is really cool. I was thinking of 2 weeks ago, this lady, and I had wondered whatever became of her.
Mm.
For some reason, she wasn't on my Facebook anymore. And needless to say, she had moved out of the area. And needless to say, she commented on a mutual friend, and she came back on Facebook. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she showed up. But that's how that works. So again, just reach out and mark your calendar when you think of them. Even like if you don't have their phone number anymore, or they moved away or whatever, mark your calendar and see how long before they surface again. It's
Yeah.
really cool. So you
Well,
guys,
oh,
so
go ahead.
you have a great day. Brian, have a good weekend.
You too.
And I will see you guys next week when I'm not going to be 55 anymore. So have a good one.
Thanks,
Have a good
everyone.
one.